Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I was trying to connect to the internet for some reason, it wasn't connecting. So I am live now, thank God. And welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about day two of the 4-day series final between Western Province and the Lions at the Wanderers, and how the game is unfolding and what took place in the particular match. So that's what the show is going to be about mainly today. Obviously, you guys can also get your questions in the live chat and I'll answer them as best as possible as well. So, but the main topic, obviously, of discussion today is this 4-day series final because it is becoming a very close and tight encounter. I think that's what everybody wanted. Actually, is a close game between the two sides. We didn't necessarily want to see a walkover in the match. You want to see a close contest, a battle between the two sides because these are very good sides on display against each other. So ultimately, in all cricket matches, you don't necessarily want to see a walkover unless it's like probably a World Cup and you're supporting your team. You'd probably want them to beat a rival team quite significantly. If you in those particular cases, because obviously, why not? Why would you not want to see your team completely dominate in a match like that? So we're going to be discussing these games. We're going to be discussing what took place in the match, and I'll get to your live chat as well, your questions in the live chat as well on the show. But before we get going, before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell for all future videos. We're on the route to 5,000 subscribers right now, so please do so. And I'd also like you guys to please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And we've also launched a business corner, which I would like you guys to check out and send to any businesses that or entrepreneurs or startups that are trying to market effectively and affordably, because marketing is very expensive. So we designed something for cricket businesses to try and give back to the cricket community as well, where we can insert the marketing system into your business to help you grow your business and also to help you market your products, your services, and your brand if you want to do so. So the link is on the screen as well as in the description. Please share that far and wide if you can. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's show. A very good evening. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid. This is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket, but we're also going to be mainly covering the day two of the 4-day series final. So let's get straight into the action and what took place. It was another gloomy morning at the Wanderers, and the morning session was going to be very important for the likes of Western Province. And they started the day with a deficit of 176. And Eddie Moore and Tony DeZorzi continued to score at over five, just under five and over, and maintaining a positive approach that they had throughout this game so far and throughout the season. They've been playing with quite a positive brand of cricket, the Western Province team. And the Lions kept searching for ways to break the opening partnership. They weren't bowling consistent line and lengths, and it often saw them searching for their lines and lengths and dished out deliveries basically full and straight sometimes that it was easy put away to the boundary, particularly by Eddie Moore. Um, but the pair put on 72 runs, Eddie and Tony. And after the Lions bowlers took some damage, they found a length that troubled Eddie Moore. Now, this is a topic I want to talk about a bit and expand on, because anything short and pitched above his chest gave him issues. And we saw this in the series in New Zealand as well. We saw him have that issues with a shorter delivery as well. And what ended up happening is he couldn't get the ball away. He couldn't pick the right shot selection to get himself out of that hole and to score. And the pressure kept mounting. The bowlers kept on bowling those shorter deliveries, bouncers, chest tight deliveries, back of the link deliveries that popped up at him. And he actually ended up going for a pull shot and he cued it completely. And he actually they caught him in the slips, which is funny enough. He's a left-handed batter, but they caught him in the slips because of the mistimed pull shot that he tried to play to get himself out of that that hole that he was digging himself into. So it was Moreki that took the ball, and he was bowled for 40. He lost his wicket on 45 or 56 balls to take Western Province to 72 for one. And then the last hour of the first session belonged to the Lions as well, I would say, because they continued to pick up wickets. Despite Tony DeZorzi getting 51, it was first Yasin Vali that lost his wicket for 28, and then Tony DeZorzi lost his wicket. A beautiful delivery as well. There was nothing you could really do about that delivery. It was almost perfect. And a good player will nick a ball like that. If you're a good player and you got your bat to it, at least that shows that you are a good player. And he nicked it. And Western Province went into lunch on day 2 with 147 for 3. Then after lunch, Moreki trapped Verena LBW, another brilliant delivery as well. And then the visitors were 158 for 4. And they felt that they probably were in the match at this point, and they would have felt that way. And they started to claw their way back into the game a bit, but then Western Province found release through Gavin Kaplan and Daniel Smith. They settled in very nicely, and they took Western Province to 240 for 4 and into the lead of 15 by 15 runs at tea. Both of them played some beautiful shots. Gavin Kaplan backing up his 100 in the previous game against the Dolphins to get a half century in this game. Daniel Smith wasn't on a half century at that point, but he batted really well with Gavin to really take the pressure off Western Province and take them into the lead. And then after tea, Kaplan lost his wicket for 60, and then Smith was out for 60, and then Pongwana was dismissed for 28. And that's when the Lions started to get a grip of the match again. And after Mapungwana lost his wicket, you could say that Lions were starting to find their way into into the match, because Kyle Simmons also lost his wicket before Michlali. And Michlali lost his wicket with the team just passing the 300-run mark. And then the rest was just there was no fight really from the tail like we saw from the Lions, and they continued to lose their wickets throughout the game. I think Delano Potgieter bowled really well to keep the pressure on as well. Bjorn Fontaine did brilliantly as well to keep the pressure on. But ultimately, it was Tshepo Moreki who took the final wicket with Western Province on 312. And at that stage, they had a lead of 87. And Tshepo Moreki took his first ever career fifer. And it's crazy to think that he's never had a fifer in 95 games. He took his first fifer in his 96th, which is in this game. First fifer of his career in any format. He doesn't have a fifer in any other format of cricket. And now he's finally taken his first fifer in first class cricket. So that is a massive achievement for someone like Tshepo Moreki. It is obviously a massive boost to the rest of his career now. He's gotten that monkey off his back. He's got that over that hurdle. And now he can really push and try and get more because he's always deserved it. He's bowled really well to get 4 furs and 3 furs in games, but could never actually go over the line and get that 5 furs that are so important for fast bowlers. So unfortunately, Tshepo, I mean, the Western Province's efforts with the bat, they would have wanted to get a lot more on the board to really take their lead to at least over 100. But they couldn't do so. They got close with 87-run lead. And then Lions went into bat, and Western Province got exactly what they would have hoped for. The Lions down 2 by the end of the day's play with 10 runs on the board. And the Lions now trails Western Province by 77, and it will be Zubair Hamza. And they sent out Tshepo Moreki as a night watchman, and which I don't think was really necessary to do so. So Western Province will hope that they can take Tshepo out early and then bring Bavuma into the crease and then take some early wickets again tomorrow morning, as the pitch obviously dries out, gets a little bit easier to bat on. I think tomorrow will probably be the easiest day to bat. So the Lions are going to want to put on a massive, massive total. Now, this is going to be a game that I think is going to go to the wire. And I hope that it's going to be a close game, but it all depends on what damage Western Province can do in tomorrow in the first session. In this game so far, the first session and the last sessions have kind of been the most important from a wicket taking perspective. So we're going to maybe see what takes place with regards to that in the rest of this match. But congratulations to Tshepo Moreki. I mean, congratulations to Daniel Smith as well as Gavin Kaplan for getting the half centuries and Tony DeZorzi for getting a half century. That that really puts the Western Province in a decent position going into day three. So it was an action-packed game. I have a little bit of criticism though of the broadcasting because the camera seems quite shaky. Also, I saw a player play a cut shot and the camera went towards a pull shot. Like it was madness that I saw. They completely misjudged where the ball would end up, given the stroke that was played. And so that was an issue. I think a little bit of shakiness, and also maybe sometimes on the graphics, I feel they could maybe show the deficit or the lead, etc., to give us a little bit of more of an understanding of what the match situation is, because they kind of just give the scores and the overs and who's bowling. And for maybe people that have the opportunity to watch this game, that are sitting in front of the TV to watch it, and maybe don't know much about 4-day cricket or test cricket, it can really be good for them to actually try and learn to see what's going on and what's taking place. So yeah, that's my only slight criticism about the broadcasting with regards to that. There were some nice stories told as well on the. There were nice stories told on the show, on the in the commentary as well, that I think is quite educational and quite entertaining from the commentators that have been commentating on this game. So overall, I think a very entertaining game so far. It's really turning out to be a close match and an entertaining 4-5 or test match. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen on day three. Some good competitive cricket. So let's get into the live chat and see what you guys have had to say. Berg asking, Khalid, is Riley still available for SS selection? He is available for SS selection. I'm just not very sold on having him in the World Cup squad, because I've said that I'd like to see someone with maybe a little younger and that can maybe and that maybe has a little bit more consistency to his game, to tee up our other players like Klaasen and Aiden are more attacking players than David. There's an X factor. If Quinton de Kock plays, then there's an X factor player at the top of the order. So the need for two, I don't think maybe is a massive need. And but if Quinton is not available, then maybe we can take a risk on Riley as an X factor player at three, and then have two new openers at the top of the order. So, or one, because Riza Hendricks is in good form and he's earned his spot. He's earned an opportunity to start a World Cup and actually show what he's capable of. So he's been in great form now recently. Found his form after the SA20. He struggled in the SA20. Really, really struggled. But I'm hoping that he can find his form heading into the World Cup, which starts in June. So there's a CSA T20 challenge as well that starts next Friday, where they will have another opportunity, to get themselves into a rhythm and into form. And then there will also be, I think, a series before the T20 World Cup as well against the West Indies. So there is some time for them to get themselves into form heading into that tournament. Thank you for the super chat, Munir. He says Shukri has made some really incompetent decisions, opening with Fortuin and dropping Eddie Moore. Why he gets no criticism? Okay, let me give you some perspective over here. I really thought about this long and hard about the decision that Coach Shukri made in the second test. Because he made the decision to play two spinners, right, in the second test, there was only one other option to make as least amount of changes to a match as possible. So if you drop one of your one of your bowlers, um, he need to keep his lineup in check. He brought in two spinners and he needed balance, right? You need balance to keep the balance in your side ultimately. So he only dropped one player, and he dropped the batter, and then he dropped Dwan Olivier as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he played his two spinners, and to get the balance right, you don't want to change the batting lineup too much either. And if he did shift everybody up the order, you're making more than one change in a lineup rather than just making one change at the top of the order. So obviously changing the lineup to a 6-5 split rather than having the seven batters, he made only one change by moving Clyde to the top of the order. Now, it was a gamble and it didn't pay off. Coaches are going to make gambles that are not going to come off. And that lies with Clyde as well, because he should have done better in the position that he was given. Now, he probably spoke to the player, and the player obviously probably would have said, "Yes, I'll take it, I'll do it, and let me try." But I can understand the thought process of only making one change over making five changes by having to change the entire lineup completely in the match. Uh, Eddie Moore in the first Test match didn't really show much. I would have liked to see him get another game. I don't think one Test match is enough. But given the fact that he was going to play his two spinners, that obviously changes things with regards to the team makeup in that second Test. And I think it was a good decision to play Dane Pitt, for example. Oh yeah, Dane Pitt came into the team. Sorry, I forgot about that. Dane Pitt came into the team as well as Sean van Berg. So because he brought in two spinners, he had to drop a batter and he had to drop a bowler to keep the crux of the best bowling that he had in the side available. So that's the thought process, I think, behind making that decision. Rather make one change than make six with regards to moving people up the order and then bringing two players in. And I disagree with your comment here. Thank you for the comment, but I disagree with the fact that he is incompetent. Um, I think Coach Shukri is one of the smartest cricket minds in the country with regards to the way he thinks about the game. Yes, he makes some bold decisions and some brave decisions, and I think that a lot of his decisions actually have kind of paid off. And we also need to have some sympathy for the situation that he found himself in. Going to New Zealand with that team, he had no control over that. So it would have been, we know we could have won that series in New Zealand if we had our full 11. So a lot of decisions had to be made considering the situation. But I disagree that he's incompetent. I 100% disagree with that. Eddie gets himself in quite a tangle when bowlers go short to him. Just looks so uncomfortable, and that issue is a huge no-no at Test level. Some work is needed there, and Coach Shukri would have seen that in the first Test match because the same thing happened in the Test. He was also hampered by that in the first Test. He looked very uncomfortable at the crease. So the decision was made to make a change, and the change didn't come off. But yeah, you can't have that type of difficulties at the Test level. You're going to be caught out instantly. They're going to notice that, and they're going to target you. Munu saying can't have such incompetence at the highest level. I yeah, so I think that Coach Shukri is a good coach. I think that his ability to be able to identify characters and talent is amazing. Not only does he pick up on your technical flaws and your difficulties early on already in your career. I also feel that he has the ability to be able to tell what type of character the player is. And I think character and mentality is very important when it comes to Test cricket, particularly because Test cricket is not a joke. We saw it's extremely tough. I mean, we had some of the toughest mindsets in that side from a domestic cricket perspective in New Zealand. Guys that can also really dig in and bat for long hours, and they struggled. Someone like Reina van Tonder, he struggled to kick on, and he's someone that knows. For one thing, I know for a fact is that Reina van Tonder is not the type of player that will get um, mentally drained from batting for long periods of time necessarily. He's the type of guy that can really grind it and play for long hours. So, but that intensity over and over and over again. The one thing about New Zealand, they might not have the pace, but they have the consistency and accuracy, and that's what we saw from them in that Test series. They were very accurate and very consistent throughout the Test series. Priyanshu saying your thoughts on Aiden Markram. SA needed big superstar like India have Virat Kohli. Well, you guys on the channel that have, maybe you're a new subscriber, but if you have been following this channel for quite some time, you know that I am a big supporter of Aiden Markram. I think he's extremely talented, and I think he has an amazing ability to be able to adapt his game. I think we saw that perfectly in the Test series against India here on a difficult wicket, scoring 100 in difficult circumstances. He was able to adapt his game and get those runs under his belt. I think the way he has settled in T20 cricket is phenomenal. I think the way he's become one of the most important players, I feel, in the T20 squad. He had a very good World Cup as well. The last World Cup that he played, he had a very good World Cup. And he's really starting to settle in that T20 game as well. His T20 game is becoming very compact, and he has the ability to be able to play an attacking game, and also anchor the innings and bat right till the end as well. So I'm a big fan of what he does. There's maybe, yes, there is some improvements. Maybe he has to work on a little bit more consistency in the ODI game. He had a good ODI World Cup as well. So I think that he's becoming a very good holistic cricketer for South Africa, and I think that he still has uh, a good 5 to 10 years in him to really be a very important player for South Africa. I think he's one of the most important players in our batting lineup in all formats, and he's very crucial to keeping that middle order together. So yeah, Aiden Markram, brilliant player. I don't know if he's Virat Kohli level yet. Could he become that? We don't know. He could have an amazing next 3-4 years and maybe do some fantastic things in all formats. The only problem is we don't play enough Test cricket for him to really cement himself as a legend with regards to that. As a legend with regards to the amount of games played. So there is only a small window where he can really dominate. 29 at the moment, so maybe has another 5, 6, 7 years in him. I said 10, but maybe 5, 6 years in him to be able to really uh, become that legend, a legend for South African cricket. And it's now time for him to play at his best level that he possibly can now. I would like to see the next 4 or 5 years of just Aiden Markram in his element. And that's the next step for him. Lauren saying, Bjorn Fortuin leading wicket taker in the 4-day series. When will this guy truly get an opportunity at international level? Really don't know what he has to do anymore. Fantastic left arm spinner. He's a fantastic left arm spinner, and he has been fantastic in domestic cricket. And I think he does deserve more opportunities at the national level. I think that maybe T20 cricket is probably where they can give him a longer chance. I think he's better than Keshav, to be honest, in the T20 format. But they play kind of different roles to an extent in their sides. Bjorn generally takes the new ball when he plays for Paul Royals. In Test cricket, it's a bit tricky because he needs to replace Keshav Maharaj. And at the moment, Keshav Maharaj is the best, one of the best spinners in the world currently in Test cricket. So it's maybe in the T20 format where he could possibly take Keshav's spot. Uh, Maybe to an extent in the ODIs, you could maybe say that, but I think that we've seen some good performances from Keshav in ODI cricket. Keshav is one of the best bowlers in ODI cricket. So perhaps maybe in the T20 format, we could maybe see Bjorn overtake him. I'm surprised that he hasn't gotten more opportunities there. Munir saying, I agree, he's better than Keshav. Burbik saying, Mapungwana looks a real threat with the ball, maybe needs extra yard of pace. One to watch. Yeah, he is one to watch. I do feel that he didn't necessarily bat with a lot of confidence today. I think he was trying to be too attacking, maybe. I think he maybe needed to just settle himself a little bit more, play a more compact game. He had a lot of edges and stuff that went to the boundary, etc. But his 28 was very vital to the side to help them take that lead. But we will see more of Mapungwana. He's only 23 years old, so I think he still has some time to develop himself. But he is definitely a good talent for the future. He's bowling as well. He's quite accurate with the bowling. He's been taking wickets as well. He took he took a four for in the first innings against the Lions as well. So he 4 for 41 in his 15 overs. So he bowled really well for his wickets. And I think he has a long career ahead of him. We already saw him called up to the SA side as well as in New Zealand. We didn't get to see him play in New Zealand, but he's really starting to find his feet at the domestic level, and hopefully we will see him in the national side in the future. Priyanshu says this year for Aiden for important because IPL you will captain SRH and then World Cup. Yeah, the IPL I think for Aiden Markram is going to be quite important. He didn't have a great IPL season last season. Um, but this season he'll have a massive role to play, and we'll be able to see what he has, what he's capable of. We'll also see him in the CSA T20 Challenge before they go to the IPL. They'll be playing that first half of the tournament, or the first bit of the start of the tournament before they go to the IPL. So we're going to see him there too. So let's see how he does there. We just need a little bit more consistency, like from Aiden Markram. A lot of the times he gets himself out rather than the opposition getting him out. So that actually means that there's something to work on um, from his perspective to try and stop that from happening. Burbik saying Simmons also looks good, nice shape on the ball. Yeah, but generally speaking, I haven't been very impressed with Simmons on wickets when it's not turning. He bowls really well on wickets when it's giving him something. But on wickets when it's not really turning, he doesn't really play that hold up role very, very well, I think, as to someone like Bjorn or Kesha, for example. So that's something maybe he can work on. Glenday is saying Mulder is becoming more of a batter and does not seem to bowl very much. He did not bowl in the Western Province first innings. Is he good enough to play international cricket as a batter rather than an all-rounder? So the reason why Mulder didn't bowl in the first innings is not because he's not good enough or whatever. He had a bruise on his foot which stopped him from being able to bowl. And that's the reason why they didn't pick Mitchell van Buren in the side and they stayed with Delano Potgieter apparently. So for me personally, I would have still had Delano and Vian in the team. Both of them, like they had here anyway. But the reason he didn't bowl is because of his bruised foot. Now, he is valuable with the ball, but I've always thought that he had the potential, that his batting should have been focused on more than his bowling. Because ever since he was at school, he was a batter first, not a bowler first. And something that something that Otis Gibson saw in his bowling and technique made him want to pick him as a bowler first and foremost over his batting. Because Vian Mulder for me is a top 5, 6 batter, and then he gives you some overs. That should be his role in sides, in my opinion, at least. Burbick says, how good is Mahima compared with other top spinners? Mahima is good. A lot of people will probably comment on the fitness of Mahima, but he is good. You can see by the way he's been bowling for the Paul Royals. He's been good. He had quite a good T20 spell as well. in the CSA T20 challenges and stuff like that in the past. So he has been quite consistent actually in getting results with the ball. So he is a good player, but I still think he needs some work um, if he wants to play national international cricket. So yeah, that's everything covered. Obviously, I spoke about the Titans team. That's the only team that has been announced so far for the CSA T20 challenge. Stars started side with Proteas, and even under 19 stars in that team as well. So that was yesterday's show. I spoke about that. Ron is saying, what makes the non-selection of Quinton de Kock even more surprising is that CSA made all national contracted players available for the T20 comp. Quinton de Kock is still contracted until April, yet he ain't there. Strange. He's strange. So let's see what they decide to do. Priyanshu says, do you think Temba is overrated? I think Temba is underrated because people don't talk Temba up at all. I think I'm one of the players that that has defended him in the past because of the hate that he got on social media. Now, I think that in ODI cricket, he's a really good player, and I think that in Test cricket, he's a very good player. He didn't show it in this particular series. Let's see what he does tomorrow. He has a whole day to bat tomorrow. Let's see what he does tomorrow in the 4-day series. But I think he's a very good Test batter. He was pivotal to South Africa beating West Indies in the last Test match at home that we played before the India series, of course. He was excellent, and I think he has a very good ODI record and a very good Test record, like Burbick says over here. It's in T20 cricket where things started going wonky for Temba. He started getting a lot of hate because of his performances in T20 cricket, and people started labeling him as rubbish in all formats just from his T20 performances. I think it was a massive mistake to make him T20 captain, and I think it was a massive mistake to even select him in the T20 side in the first place. And that's where things have gone wrong. Now, Temba World Cup average only 16, and I get that, but he was riddled with problems. He had family issues, injuries, and all of that. It's difficult to get yourself off the ground running if you have so much interruptions leading into a World Cup. Before the World Cup on the warm-ups, he had to fly back for some family issues and reasons, and then he got injured, and then it was just a mess for him in that World Cup as a whole. So I don't think we should take that particular performance in that World Cup, I think, with a pinch of salt. And I think we should completely just eradicate the T20 World Cup performances because I feel like he shouldn't have been in that side in the first place. So that's my take on Temba Bavuma. But I think that in Test cricket, he's phenomenal. He's really good. He's finding his feet at number 4 for the national side. And I think he's an important player for the team. It's a pity that he wasn't available for the India series because of injury again. Burbick saying that he does not select himself, it is the selectors. All players are mostly likely doing their best to try to perform, and that's true. I don't think any player is trying to play poorly. And sometimes we get very, very critical with players, almost like they want to perform badly. Sometimes players go through dips. There are players that go through bad patches of form. You can be on top of the world. Like look at Reza Hendricks, top of the world. He could do nothing wrong in T20 cricket. He was hitting 50 after 50 after 50. And then all of a sudden he just went off form and he had a bad run of form. And now he's getting his feet back again. And that happens with all great players in the world. There was a period when Virat Kohli, the people were talking about Virat Kohli and saying that he should stop. He shouldn't be playing anymore. He should retire and stuff. I remember tweets and stuff like that going randomly on social media. So cricket is a funny game. It's not a game where you can easily find consistency on the trot. It's very seldom that you will get players that average above, even players that average above 50. There's no player that averages 100 except like Dan Bradman back in the day. So Don Bradman back in the day was a person that was averaging like in the 90s, I think it was. So that's very unlikely to get guys. And even with those particular percentages, it shows that you're going to fail in cricket. It's just natural. It's a game where you sometimes fail more than you succeed in some cases. So it's a tough sport, and I think certain players, you need to be comfortable. You need to be patient with him. Batting is extremely difficult. Um, Burbick saying batting, especially, is brutal. One mistake and you go. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you can lose your wicket to in an obscure way where it wasn't even there's nothing you could do about it. And in some cases, it can be luck as well. It was just you were purely unlucky. Sometimes you get a great delivery, and then sometimes it's actually your fault. So you've got all of those things to combat when it comes to batting in international in cricket. So it's a very difficult game. It's not the easiest game to find consistency. So yeah, we need to be patient with players through spells. If they've shown their quality before, then you know it's in them, and then it's just about being patient with them in general. But guys, I'm going to need to go. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I know it's a shorter show today. I'll try to give you a little bit more tomorrow. But thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And I'll see. And please subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos as well. Please, we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and we're very close. So please help us get there as soon as possible. Share this with all your South African cricket fans that love South African cricket. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for joining me in the live chat, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another show. Take care. Peace, everyone.